Welcome back to Calm Mindset. In a world where every second is filled with noise, notifications buzzing, voices competing for attention, and endless streams of information, silence has become a rare treasure. Yet, silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a space where clarity, wisdom, and true strength are born. For the Stoics, silence was not emptiness, but a powerful tool for self-mastery. The philosophers of the ancient world, like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, understood that a calm mind could only be cultivated in stillness. They practiced silence as a way to observe themselves, to control their emotions, and to respond to life with reason rather than impulse. Silence was their sanctuary from the chaos of the crowd, a place where wisdom could speak louder than noise. Today, more than ever, we need this ancient wisdom, because in the constant roar of modern life, many of us have forgotten the strength that comes from quiet reflection. In this episode, we will explore the Stoic power of silence, why it mattered then, why it matters now, and how it can change your life in a noisy world. Look around you. How often do you find yourself scrolling endlessly through your phone, checking messages the moment they arrive, or feeling restless when nothing is playing in the background? For many, silence feels uncomfortable, even threatening. We have trained ourselves to avoid it, to fill every gap with noise, distractions, and stimulation. The problem is, this constant noise leaves us exhausted. Our minds are cluttered, our focus shattered, and our inner peace fragile. Instead of mastering our thoughts, we are consumed by the chatter of the world. We no longer know how to sit quietly with ourselves, and this disconnection fuels stress, anxiety, and the feeling of being lost in life. The ancient Stoics would say, this is not freedom, it is slavery. Slavery to noise, to impulse, to the demands of others. They believed that silence was a path to freedom, because it created space for reflection, discipline, and self-control. And without silence, true wisdom cannot take root. For the Stoics, silence was more than just the absence of sound, it was the foundation of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself in his meditations that the mind must retreat inward, away from the chaos of external events, to find strength. In his words, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. Silence, then, was not about shutting the world out, but about turning inward to cultivate reason and virtue. Epictetus, once a slave and later a great teacher of Stoicism, also valued silence as a form of discipline. He urged his students to speak less, listen more, and to use silence as a tool for reflection. In his teachings, every unnecessary word was a distraction from the pursuit of wisdom. Let silence be your general rule, he advised, or say only what is necessary and in a few words. For him, silence sharpened the mind like a blade, removing excess, leaving only clarity. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, went further by teaching that silence protected us from being carried away by passion. He warned that quick, careless words often come from anger or fear, and silence allowed the space to respond rationally rather than emotionally. For the Stoics, silence was a shield guarding the soul from the chaos of impulsive reaction and preserving the dignity of reasoned action. Think about our daily lives today. Silence has become almost extinct. From the moment we wake up, many of us reach for our phones, flooding our minds with notifications, emails, and breaking news before we've even taken a breath. On the commute, we plug in headphones to drown out the world, and when we finally get home, we turn on the TV or scroll endlessly, just to avoid a moment of stillness. In workplaces, silence is often mistaken for weakness or disengagement. Meetings are filled with voices competing for attention, and social media rewards those who post quickly and often, not those who pause to reflect. Even in conversations, we often listen only to respond, not to truly hear, because silence feels awkward. Yet, this endless noise only feeds anxiety, burnout, and the sense that we are always on. Contrast this with those rare moments when silence enters our lives. A quiet walk in nature, the stillness of an early morning before the world wakes, or even choosing to put the phone away for an hour. In those moments, the mind settles, clarity returns, decisions feel light, emotions steadier. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics knew centuries ago. Silence reduces stress, improves focus, and strengthens emotional control. In other words, silence heals the modern soul. So how can we reclaim the Stoic power of silence in our modern world? The answer lies in small, intentional practices that train both the mind and the spirit. 1. Begin and end your day in silence. Instead of starting the morning with a flood of notifications, give yourself a few minutes of quiet. Breathe deeply, observe your thoughts, and set an intention for the day. At night, disconnect from screens and sit in silence before bed. This bookends your day with clarity and peace. 2. Practice mindful listening. In conversations, resist the urge to interrupt or fill every gap with words. Embrace silence as a way to truly hear others. The Stoics believed wisdom grows not from talking, but from listening. When you practice silence and dialogue, you strengthen empathy and self-control. 3. Create spaces free from noise. Find at least one place where silence becomes part of your routine: a park bench, a quiet corner of your room, or even a short walk without headphones. These silent sanctuaries allow your mind to recharge and your emotions to reset. 4. Limit unnecessary words. Seneca reminded us that silence shields us from careless speech. Before speaking, ask, is this necessary? Is it true? Is it helpful? Reducing idle talk not only preserves energy, but also builds credibility. Words spoken with intention carry more weight. 5. Embrace digital silence. Turn off notifications, schedule device-free hours, and give your mind freedom from constant stimulation. Just like Epictetus advised to speak little, we must also scroll little. Digital silence is the modern form of Stoic discipline. Through these practices, silence shifts from being an absence of sound to becoming a source of strength. Like the Stoics, you will discover that silence is not emptiness, it is a presence of clarity, peace, and power. Silence is not weakness, nor is it retreat. For the Stoics, silence was strength. It was mastery over oneself in a world that constantly tries to pull us outward. In every quiet moment, they found space to reflect, to reset, and to act with wisdom. And if this ancient discipline sustained them through wars, political turmoil, and personal hardship, then surely it can guide us through the chaos of modern life. When we embrace silence, we are no longer controlled by noise. We choose when to speak, when to act, and when to simply be. In silence, anger loses its grip, fear softens, and clarity rises. We begin to see that the world outside may always be noisy, but the world within can remain unshakably calm. This is the true gift of Stoicism, not to escape life, but to face it with a steady mind. So as you leave today's reflection from Calm Mindset, carry this with you. Seek moments of silence in your life, not to withdraw, but to grow, not to hide, but to strengthen. Because in the silence, you will discover your truest voice, the voice of reason, of courage, and of peace. And that is where real power begins.